Within Pokemon's history, there is a vast amount of content that we never get to see in the finished games. Stuff that was planned but just didn't work out. As you probably know if you watch my channel, this is one of my favorite things to cover, and today we're gonna cover a different side of it. While there's plenty of cut content from the games, not all of it was cut entirely, because much of it was still used in the anime. The anime and games are developed in tandem, and they often like to parallel one another. So every now and then, the anime will prepare to feature something from the games, but it gets scrapped, but the anime will keep it anyway. And it does so very unannounced, meaning some of the crazy stuff you've seen in the anime might have just been planned to be in the games as well. And you never knew it, and that is what we are going to look at in this video, which is made possible by today's amazing sponsor, Ridge Wallet. Do you own things? Do you keep some of those things in your pocket? Well, if you do, you better get yourself a Ridge Wallet. These babies can hold up to 12 cards plus cash, but they never get out of control and gigantic like your typical wallets. They always stay nice and compact like these two. I even use one as my wallet of choice, so it definitely has the HoopsandHipHop seal of approval. On top of that though, these wallets also have an additional 30,000 5-star reviews online. They come in over 30 colors and styles. They have RFID blocking technology to keep your credit cards and your information safe. They have a lifetime warranty, so you're never gonna have to buy another wallet ever again, and they even come with a 45-day money-back guarantee if for some reason they're not your thing. If that wasn't good enough though, you can even get 10% off on one of these bad boys with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/hoops and entering code HOOPS at checkout. The link for that will be in the description below. I'm just gonna put it out there, but Father's Day is coming up, and one of these bad boys would make the perfect gift for all the dads out there, or just for yourself as well. So be sure to pick one up with the link below, and thank you again so much to Ridge for supporting the channel. One of the most infamous moments in the history of the anime is that one time where Pikachu used Thunder on Swellow and somehow Swellow didn't die, but instead it somehow combined the two Pokemon together and supercharged their moves. Well, this is very possibly a remnant, believe it or not, of something very similar that was planned for the games. It was recently revealed in a leak of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire that there was once a plan to have a feature in the games that allowed your Pokemon to combine their moves together. This was intended to complement the double battle mechanic and was even how you would use certain official moves that are in the games, like Heat Wave. Obviously, it's hard to say definitively though if this is where the Swellow Pikachu combo originated, but considering it's very similar in execution to this cut feature and even occurs when Ash is in a double battle against Tate and Liza, the gym leaders of Moss Deep City, it's very possible and likely, in my opinion, that this was planned for the anime when the move combining feature was still planned for the games, and was left in the anime even after it was scrapped. So while this moment might be perceived as a bit of a meme, it has a likely origin that is not so much silly as it just is really, really cool, and not to mention unfortunate that it was cut from the games. Something else that was featured in the anime that was planned for the games is Silvertown. Silvertown is a location in Johto which sits at the base of Mount Silver, and is where the Silver Conference is held, which is basically the Johto League Championships. While in the games, Mount Silver is isolated and solitary, there were originally plans for a town at the base of it just like Silvertown in the anime. It was a town known as Prince, and while it didn't house the Pokemon League like in the show, it was, for all intents and purposes, the exact same thing. You can't really hold it against Gold and Silver for any of its cut content though, since it already has so much going for it, but a town next to Mount Silver would have been pretty cool, and although for the games the town was a pretty small one, the fact that it effectively lives on in the anime is pretty stinking cool if I do say so myself. Another thing from the Gold and Silver era that didn't survive in the games, but was in the anime, is Imposter Oak. There is an episode in the anime revolving around this called Will the Real Oak Please Stand Up, when James of Team Rocket disguises himself as the Pokemon Professor. While nothing of the same sort happens in the final games, it was originally the plan, as in Pokemon Gold and Silver's beta, a fake Professor Oak character actually existed, which would have assuredly been involved in the plot in some way. This character also made their way into the TCG as well, but who would have thought that it wasn't just some crazy anime plot or a random TCG card for that matter, and it all actually had its start within the games. It's pretty dang fascinating if I do say so myself, and it makes you wonder what other anime stuff wasn't just supposed to be for the anime. In addition to Professor Oak, the beta days of another Kanto character were also silently and indirectly revealed to the public via the anime. Blaine is a very noteworthy character in Kanto, not only for his status as the region's 7th gym leader, but for his quirky and somewhat goofy personality. Blaine's character wasn't solidified, however, until the very last second of Pokemon Red and Blue's development. And when I say last second, I mean the last second. Because while his appearance in the games shows him as a bald scientist with glasses, there is officially published artwork from the days of Gen 1 that shows him with hair on the sides of his head, as well as some concept art shared by Ken Sugimori that shows him as more of a military man. These designs only got as far as artwork, however, and didn't make it into the games themselves in any way, but it was featured in the anime. Rather than rocking the scientist look, Blaine appears as he did in his older artwork with hair on the sides of his head in the anime when he faces off with Ash. It's impossible to know for sure, but the anime at the time might have been far enough along in development that, by the time Blaine's design was hurriedly changed at the last second, they either couldn't afford to change it themselves or just straight up decided not to. Either way, it's a cool connection between the final and beta stages of Pokemon Red and Blue. One aspect of the anime that we can really only theorize about in terms of it originating in the games, but is very, very likely at the same time, is the entire Zygarde arc from Pokemon X and Y. Basically, this included Zygarde's cores as well as its complete form being featured centrally into the plot of Kalos, which culminated in a big battle in Lumiose City, as opposed to the games where these Zygarde forms were literally just crammed into Pokemon Sun and Moon for no reason. It's long been speculated that Pokemon Z was going to happen, but was canned for some reason, and recently that was actually confirmed as a leak revealed that there were 2 Kalos games following X and Y that were planned at some point. While we know nothing about what would have been in these games, the plot focusing around Zygarde is basically a foregone conclusion, and with the anime going in the direction that it did, with it being so heavily focused on Zygarde, it would honestly be a stretch to think that the plot line didn't originate somewhere within those planned games, simply because it doesn't line up with what actually happened in the games at all. And honestly, if this is indeed the case, where some kind of Zygarde Lumiose City showdown was going to be included in Pokemon Z's plot, it probably is the most unfortunate tragedy ever in terms of cut Pokemon content, and that is saying something considering all we know about currently. One element between the anime and games that doesn't really line up either concerns the fate of Gary Oak. In the games, as Blue, he becomes a gym leader after going on his own Pokemon journey, but in the anime, he later becomes a researcher like his grandfather. So why the sudden discrepancy? Well, while the anime can pretty much do as it pleases, this is indeed another remnant from what was planned for the games, As of the 1997 Gold and Silver beta demo that was leaked a few years ago, Blue's role in the game was actually that of Professor Oak's assistant, perfectly lining up with what he did in the anime, which means this is most assuredly where this role of his originated. Having Blue as a gym leader is amazing, so I'm not complaining about that at all, but seeing him as a researcher or maybe even taking over for Professor Oak would have been really cool to see as well. Next up, we've got one that I touched on before, so I'll be somewhat brief, but it is the very definition of this video, so I've got to touch on it. For the Rise of Darkrai movie, the Japanese version of the film was given a logo which featured Darkrai, and while seeming like your average logo for a while, some info was recently brought to light that revealed a lot about where this logo came from, as well as the movie itself. During a recent leak of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl's beta assets, a sprite of a beta version of Darkrai was revealed, and it looks identical to a certain part of the Japanese logo for the Rise of Darkrai movie, effectively confirming this movie was in production when this was Darkrai's design. While it probably wouldn't have had much impact on the plot, obviously, it is pretty interesting that they still went with this logo, even after Darkrai's design was altered, and it just goes to show you how far ahead things are being produced behind the scenes at the Pokemon Company. So those were just a few things from the anime that were planned for the games as well, but got cut. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Pokemon content as well. You can also support the channel greatly if you would like by listening to my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and by watching my Pokemon Cardinal series here on YouTube. It's immensely appreciated and really makes a huge difference. With that said, I will see you all soon with another video, and until then, as always, I love you all, and I will smell you guys later.